as a Martin, our people, we have to work together, you know. So moving forward,
you just need to get back to basics, and from there you could see everything.
Do not settle for less in life. And entrepreneurship is the best way to go. Working for yourself, 2 thumbs up. A wonderful good afternoon, Sid Martin. How you doing? How you doing? Welcome to your program, Strict, as well on the Illich Road. That's the Los Mejores Barbershop. And if you're home and you're thinking movies, think the video block located right there in French Quarter for all the latest movies. Get them on DVD, on USB, and on your hard drive, and of course even loaded directly to your phone. That's the video block in French Quarter for all the movies that you need. And if you need some delicious food, of course we got jerkies. We got Jerky's Tiki Hut located right there on the Illich Road for some great tasting barbecue. We also got Jerky's by the Plaza Casino as well. And also Jerky's is back Cold Bay as well, so you can get your jerkies over the hill as well. And also not forgetting Jimmy, Fat Boy Jimmy, right there for some great tasting barbecue. Also we have Gibi, our water and electricity company. Gibi, as always, we thank you for your continued support. And if you're looking for apartments or commercial spaces, #1 place to give a call is J&J Properties. Give them a call at 588-1216. That is J&J Properties, 588-1216. And if you're looking for that flat screen TVs or any electronics, go and visit the Bold Chance located right there on the front street for all your electronic needs today. Bold Chance, thank you so much. We also have another place with some great tasting food at Stasha's Restaurant. That's right there next to Aki Supermarket. Again, for some great tasting food, you can give them a call at 550-9108 or 524-9834. Stasha's, thank you so much. Thank you to all our great sponsors. Thank you. Brother Rollocks, what's happening?
Good morning to the listeners. Good morning, SS Radio. We have a full house today, Brian.
I can see that, bro.
So we're going to try to, you know.
We lock and loaded.
Yeah, lock and loaded to go down and see how this all going to go, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
How you keeping though? Good, man. A lot of work, but we working.
Have a productive week.
Productive week,
That's
you know.
important.
Yeah. God, without God, you know, we're nothing. So God is helping us every day to push forward.
Most definitely.
You know, I truly believe in Him. You know, from my parents, you know, so we are religious family. You know, I don't know about you though.
Of course, absolutely. Brought up that way.
All right.
Most definitely.
I brought, of course, my father's here, and we have an old politician also. You know, he's not old; he's an old politician.
Not old, retired.
Okay, retired. You know,
These
are the old dogs. You know what I'm saying? Like they say.
Yes, sir.
Of course, I want to introduce my sister. She's back on the island for a while. You know, Julastri, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Hello, everybody. Hello to the listeners. Blessed week to everybody. I am, as Julian just said, his sister. My name is Julastri. I'm also a Rollocks.
Awesome.
I'm my father's firstborn, and I'm happy to be here.
Great. And what are you doing now? You're back from Holland. You're going to finish your stuff here or in Curaçao?
Yeah, I did my studies in the University of Arnhem and Nijmegen in Holland. And I decided to finish everything now, round up everything now in Curaçao. My law degree.
Awesome.
Yes.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah. Brian, let me go over. We have a doctor. Yeah, I wanted to introduce herself because she told me a lot of she's a I really can't pronounce it.
Okay.
But Diva do it, you know.
Okay. Good afternoon, doctor.
Good afternoon, doctor.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for having me and inviting me to be here today.
Yeah.
My name is Dr. Karima Mathews, and I'm an obstetrician, gynecologist by profession, so I specialize in ladies. So all the ladies come to me for high-risk pregnancy, any female gynecological problem that you may have, then I'm the person to see.
Okay.
Nice.
And what do you look into? Let's say you work with diseases, let's say STI, STDs, and maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that.
Okay, so STIs or STDs, that terminology is used interchangeably. It means sexually transmitted infections or sexually transmitted diseases. So that is important for the population at large because it impacts on how the economy is going to go, because if you're sick, if you have long-term illnesses, then that will also impact it. So I try to educate the population, my female clientele, and also their spouse, etc., on safe sexual practices that they should do to prevent those things from happening. those things can also have, or those diseases can also have long-term effects for fertility, for pregnancy, pregnancy complications, and so on. So that, yes, so I specialize in that as well. It's also good to inform the ladies of what is normal, so they would know what is abnormal and when you need to go to the gynecologist or when you need to seek professional help. So as some persons will come into the office and have to explain to them that females have a normal vaginal discharge that changes during the menstrual cycle. So sometimes it may look like the egg white, or sometimes it may be a little bit off-white, or a thicker discharge. Some ladies have more, some ladies have less. You know, some people sweat a lot, some people don't. So I just try to explain it like that. So normally, that's what you will see if there's no malodor or bad smell or no green or yellow color or no itching or anything like that, or changing the consistency. That's considered normal. You can have other infections that may not necessarily be sexually transmitted. So that would be like a yeast infection, where it's just an overgrowth of yeast that's normally in the vagina anyhow, which can be treated usually very easily, but it's very irritating because it's itching and, you know, the lady can't sit still at work, so it becomes very bothersome. So even though it's not sexually transmitted, it's annoying. You also have bacterial vaginosis, which is a change in the flora or the organisms that normally live in the vagina, which a lot of ladies have that. So that again can be treated with medication, but you have to go to the doctor to get it. So with that, you might have itching as well. You may have a bad discharge or a bad smelling discharge, or it may change in color from like a creamish or a light yellow to yellow, green, and so on.
But I hear you were saying STI and STD. What's the difference between them?
It's just that the medical board decided to change the terminology. Just say it really means the same thing.
So STI is the old terminology,
Right,
and STD is the new.
The STD and STIs, yes.
Okay.
So it just means that any disease that you will get from sexual contact.
But
So it has to be sexual.
okay, and it's something that, like a STD is something that can go, or is a medication that can go, or is because you have HIV that...
Right, it depends on which. So a typical example of an STI, you could say trichomoniasis, which that can be cured. You can see that sometimes when a lady does a pap smear, they would put a note that they see that there. So then I have to call in the patient to explain it is a sexually transmitted infection. I can't tell you when you got it or who you get it from, but it's there, and then we can treat it. I don't want to get nobody in trouble. Another one that is like herpes. HSV 1 and 2. So the type 1, like it's synonymous with night fever or the mouth sores that you would see, and most children have it. The herpes simplex type 2
Children
is genital, the one on the mouth.
Oh.
A lot of children have the one on the mouth.
So that is something different, right?
It's the same herpes, but it's type 1 and type 2. So type 1 is on the mouth and type 2 is on the genitals.
Children get it?
Yeah.
Children get the one on the mouth by contact. So if an adult has it and kiss them or something, then they can get it. But it's pretty common in children. And once, so you're saying that if it can be cured. So herpes is a virus, it cannot be cured. So once you have it in your system forever. So it's just that you have latent periods where it's not, you don't have an active infection, but it can be reactivated.
Herpes, you qualify herpes as a STD also, or that's another level?
It is. So it's bisexual contact. So the one on the genitalia is what I'm going to focus on. So usually the first outbreak is the most severe. So you will get the most bumps, the most irritation. So somebody would come to me and say, oh, they shaved and they saw these bumps, and I look at it as like, those are not shaving bumps. That's something else. Then I will tell them, in my experience, it looks like herpes. However, I'm going to send you to do the test to determine. So it's a blood test, and they do check for type 1 and type 2 most of the time.
And these bumps, they have how can you see it? They have a special liquid in them, or?
The bumps look like...
inside or outside?
They can be inside and they can be outside. So they can be on the lips, on the labia, and sometimes you can have kissing lesions, that we call it. So if the lips touch, if one bump is there, then another bump would be on the contralateral side or the other side, so we call it kissing lesions because they mirror each other. It can be on the inside as well, so normally I do a speculum examination to look at the inside vaginal walls and the cervix as well to see. So once I diagnose it, I always send them for the blood test to confirm. And once it's confirmed, then I have to educate them on what does this mean. So I have to tell that it's not curable. We could treat it, but it would always be in your system.
Yeah.
So if you do the blood test, it will always show that it can show the antibodies pick up if it's an active infection, meaning you have an active infection now, or it will show that it was in your system from months ago or whatever.
Maybe we should talk about prevention.
So, yes. So that's what we do. You get medication for it, but then I have to tell them sometimes they wonder if it affects pregnancy, if they can get pregnant. Yes, you can get pregnant. It doesn't affect your fertility. However, if you do become pregnant, you can get an outbreak in pregnancy. If the outbreak is close to the time of delivery, then we would opt to do a C-section because the baby's immune system is too young, so it cannot pass through the vaginal tract with an active infection. So we just go straight ahead to a C-section. It's also it's easier for you to contract other infections because the broken skin is there. So it would be easier for a person with the herpes infection active to get HIV or other infections because there's an open skin that's there. So condom use is good, limiting your sexual partners is good, and then also disclosing, because you have a lot of persons come to me when I tell them they have a diagnosis of herpes. How are they going to tell their partner, or how are they going to tell future partners? So a lot of times I have to do couples counseling to inform the partner of what it entails, what is their risk if they continue with this consort that they have, and they want to ask questions, am I going to definitely get it, and all of those things. So a lot of my job is with the females, but sometimes the males come in as well because I have to treat them as a couple.
Let me ask a question about chlamydia. Tell us about that. Is it curable? It stays because it's rampant on the island.
Yes, chlamydia and gonorrhea, they're one of the more prevalent diseases that we see, or infections that we see. Sometimes it can be asymptomatic, so sometimes the lady may not know that she has it. So she goes along her way. She might have a little symptom, but then she said, she drank cranberry juice or something, and then it went away, so she didn't follow up with it. But the most important thing about chlamydia and gonorrhea is that it affects future fertility, because those two causes the tube to get blocked, the fallopian tubes to get blocked, because it causes adhesions on the inside. Sometimes the infection spreads from the tubes and all the way up to the liver, causing Fitzhugh-Curtis syndrome. So sometimes when a patient would come at 30 years old, 32 years old, and she says she's married now, she's happy, Prince Charming, she's been trying to get pregnant for 3 years and it's not happening. When we do the checks, we see that both her tubes are blocked. She has severe adhesions. And then when we ask, have you ever been diagnosed with chlamydia? She's like, oh yes, once I was, but it was, and then the follow-up treatment and all of that. So that's one of the most common causes for infertility.
Can it be reversed?
Well, if we find the infection, we can treat it. If your tubes are blocked, sometimes depending on the amount of blockage, we could try to unblock it so you could become pregnant. But then sometimes you just definitely have to go to in vitro fertilization. So you would not get pregnant by the normal way, the more enjoyable way.
You know what I wanted to ask you? I don't know if it's true or if it's a myth, but what about public bathrooms? Can you get certain diseases using public bathrooms?
Well, generally speaking,
if it can happen, or
yes, it can happen. So you have to be careful. You don't want to go into a place that is not clean, and that's just in general, because anything that changes the flora of the vagina and anything, that will cause you to get a change in your pH and can cause you to get diseases. But if you go to a bathroom, it's not like you're going to get herpes from the bathroom. So don't use that one.
Okay. And about pregnancy, when let's say a lady gets pregnant and she has a disease or something like that, does it have some special treatments she has to do, or?
You mean like a sexually?
Yeah, no, I mean if she has a STD and she gets pregnant,
I mean, does it have the baby can
Right,
get
so
it or you know?
Once you come for your first antenatal or prenatal visit, we have a set of tests that you do, which is an antenatal
Check the
screening.
blood,
Right, so we check for syphilis, hepatitis, HIV. Depending if I'm suspicious that you had herpes or some other kind of thing, then I will send you for that test as well. Because it's important for us to know, because that has an impact not only on the mother, but also on the baby, and also the mode and the timing of the delivery. So we would have to plan that. So if somebody is HIV positive in pregnancy, she has to go on her antiretrovirals. She has to have her viral load done so that we know what to do. So with the advent of this screening, prenatal screening, the transmission of mother to child with HIV is significantly reduced if you're on your antiretrovirals. So that's why it's important for us to do these testing. Another important thing is genital warts. That is caused by the human papillomavirus, which is also a sexually transmitted infection. Now, the HPV can cause two things. Genital warts, which is just like a fleshy outgrowth on the outside of the genitals. It doesn't hurt, it doesn't pain you or anything, but you will feel it there. The other thing it can cause is cervical cancer. 75% of the cases of cervical cancer worldwide is caused by HPV 16 and 18, which are the most carcinogenic or cancer-causing types of HPV. Why is this important? Cervical cancer is one of the most preventable cancers, because with the advent of cervical cancer screening, which is the pap smear that all females are supposed to do by the age of 21 years or 3 years after you become sexually active. So if you're active at 13, you need to start it at 16, because the more partners you have exposure to the HPV and so on. So I strongly recommend the pap smear for all of my patients, and they'll say, but doctor, it's so hot. No, it's not. It's just a little bit uncomfortable. If you're sexually active, you could do a pap smear. It takes like a minute or two out of your time, and you just have to do it once a year. So with the pap smears, we will pick up any abnormal cells, and so we pick it up before it gets to cancer, and then we could treat it before it gets to cancer, because when it gets to cancer, then you're looking at surgery, radiotherapy, chemotherapy, and all of that. So do your pap smears, ladies.
I wanna bring one point real quick. You obviously have a very young look.
Well, thank you, my new best friend.
I am sure I'm not the first to tell you that. In a West Indian conservative society, meeting a black doctor, meeting a female doctor, meeting a young doctor, have you had experiences with that?
Yes, most times when somebody comes in the office and they see me, they're like, are you the doctor?
Where's the doctor?
Yes, they think I'm just taking like the name information or something, you know. I said, no,
right.
I am Dr. Mathews. And then they will say, well, when did you graduate? How long were you in medical school? So
Wow.
they go through these questions because they say,
Or CV.
yes, I have to give them the resume before I could start actually doing that. And, you know, they're very skeptical. But I think that I speak for myself and I speak well. I try to speak to my patients and explain everything, because a pet peeve of mine is when a patient comes to me from another doctor and say, oh, I have this pap smear result, but it wasn't explained to me. Why didn't your doctor explain that to you? It's supposed to be done. So I think normally they're very skeptical at the beginning of the visit, but at the end of the visit, they're like, that was a great experience. Or sometimes some females prefer a male gynecologist, so when they come in and see me, they're like, I don't like female gynecologists. I was like, well, you're here now, so let's get it done. And then you can go to the male one the next time. When I'm done, they're like, you're my new gynecologist. So I have had experience, but I get my good genes from my mother. Thank you.
But obviously your level of knowledge is profound.
Yes.
You know, and that will defend you in every circumstance.
Exactly.
You know, just give me a chance to open my mouth.
Exactly.
You know, I commend you a lot. I commend you for your I'm a biologist.
Okay, wonderful.
You know, so I know a little of what you're saying.
Yes.
You know,
I could see you nodding your head, so I was like, yes, he's following.
But, well, you know, I know a little more about plants and animals. But anyhow, we will continue the
I would
program.
have one more question to you. It's good for some listeners to understand. That's why I have you on the program. What is the difference between HIV and, because they have a difference between HIV and AIDS, right? Or no? Or is it the same thing?
Well, HIV is a virus, and then when you become infected, you're HIV positive. But when you get gamut of the symptoms, then they say that you have AIDS. So the infection is HIV or the virus is HIV, but then when you start becoming symptomatic of that, then you...
So basically when you're dying.
Well,
Not necessarily.
not necessarily dying, but
the
when
way
you
you
start...
Showing the symptoms.
When you start
Showing
showing
the
the symptoms, so when your immune system becomes so compromised, because a lot of people are HIV positive and you would not be able to tell.
That's true.
Because people are saying, oh, if you're skinny and mug, don't, that's HIV. It doesn't have to be. A persons with HIV can look as normal as you and I, and that's why it's important to get tested. That's why it's important for you to get regular checks, and if you have a profession that, puts you at risk, or behaviors that put you at risk, you need to get tested so it can be documented so you will know. And for a health professional, sometimes you have needle stick injuries, you don't know the HIV status of a patient, so then we have to get tested when I have a needle stick injury, because I had that once when I was an intern.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
As an intern, when I just started, I was like, ah! And then we had to check the HIV status of the patient because he did not know, and check mine as well. Then I had to recheck again in the next 3 months and 6 months to make sure everything was okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, and another point, real quick before we continue, Doc. There are people that are HIV positive, but it doesn't bother them. But they can infect other people.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little about that? Have you
Yes.
had that experience
Well, in
in
my
your practice?
yes, because as I said before, in your first prenatal check, we check all of those things, HIV. So there was a patient that came in and hers was positive. So then I had to tell her because she had no knowledge of it before. Once she found out, then the spouse had to come in and then he had to get checked and then he was negative. So it then becomes, what do they do, a counseling situation. So
What
that's
do
why we advocate getting tested, HIV Day, AIDS Day, get tested, know your status, so that, and to be responsible, then if you're going to engage in a relationship with somebody, then you have to have safe sexual practices or, what you do. So prevention is better than cure. Get
Always.
tested.
Always.
Live a healthy lifestyle, or try to as best as possible that we can do, because with each coming year we have more knowledge and more information about diseases and so on, so we know what not to do.
Yeah.
So we should try to follow that.
But Doc, even when you have a partner that's infected, the other partner is not. You cannot engage in kissing, in fellatio, in cunnilingus, and so forth, because you can be infected or not.
Well, they're saying that the likelihood of getting it from kissing is very small. But the genitals with vaginal secretions and so on, then it will increase. So that's why it's a prolonged counseling session. It's easier for a woman to catch HIV than a man to get it from a woman. And then if you have same-sex male partners, then that's another
Story.
situation.
Yeah.
Yes,
Story,
that's
yeah.
also
Yeah, that's
easier.
a story
So
as well.
it's education and trying to live a healthy lifestyle, know your status, get checked,
Yeah.
and that's and I try to educate everybody, and even school children, because they're experimenting,
That's true.
hormones are raging, teenage pregnancy, and when they do engage in sexual activity, when they come in, because sometimes the mothers will bring them in, they want me to check the hymen to see if it's broken,
Wow.
and then I will say, it's not just about pregnancy, because in their head they're like, oh, they're not pregnant, but it's also about sexually transmitted infections.
Exactly.
Do you have herpes? No. Do you have HIV? So when a teenager comes into me, I would send them to do all those tests. And
There's so much things to
right,
consider. Yeah.
exactly. So in their mind, they're like, oh, I'm not pregnant, thank God. But it's not just pregnancy, because you could get chlamydia. That can be treated, yes, but when you become an adult and you want to have a child, the tubes may be blocked at that point in time.
Yes.
So I try to educate them about everything, because everything is important. It's not just teenage pregnancy, it's not just, it's everything.
It's everything.
Yes.
You're a social worker too.
Yes. I wear many hats.
But it's good that you give the information out so that they're
Yes.
educated.
And the parents, when the mothers carry them in, they're like, I would say to gain the trust of the teenager, because sometimes it's 13, 14, 15.
Yeah.
I would ask if she wants mommy to stay inside or stay outside, because she's not going to tell me everything if mommy's right there. Because she's like, so I try to gain the trust, educate them, and then I bring back the mother in and then have a discussion, because sometimes they just need a mediator. They need somebody too, because the mother is so upset.
Yeah.
The child is, feeling
She's scared.
ashamed
She
and
doesn't know how
scared, right?
to
So
communicate.
a mediator, I act as a mediator also, in those situations.
I had a question. One question about in the supermarkets. They always have this vaginal cleansing for your vagina and all of that. They talk about the pH balance. What does that contain exactly?
Your
What is the pH
vagina is a
balance?
self-cleaning mechanism. You
Yes.
don't need any of those things.
Yes.
So douching
they
is
say.
not recommended anymore. You
No
don't
soap.
you don't need to push your finger or your rag inside
Yeah.
with soap to clean it out. It cleans itself out.
Yes, I understood that.
So you just need to wash the lips.
Yeah.
Because when you do that, you change the pH balance, and then it causes an overgrowth of maybe yeast or the other bacteria. Then you'll get an infection.
Exactly.
So sometimes when ladies come, like I see somebody this month, next month, I was like, yes, I want the work, yes, but you're here too frequent. So then I started to ask them, what do you do at home? What do you use? And some people say, oh, they use Dettol to wash their vagina or some disinfectant or something. I was like,
I think it's an old culture that they
Right.
heard, and
Yes.
back in the
Very
day,
common.
that's how
Yes.
it was done. So I think that's what it
I
is.
started
Blue
telling
soap.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And they said,
Yeah.
and doc, I'm very clean, because I push my
Yeah.
finger inside with the soap and clean it out. I said, you don't need to do that.
Yeah.
You don't. The discharge that you see is just the dead cells and the secretions and so on. That's cleaning
And that has to
everything
come out. And,
Right.
And the vagina is
Exactly.
naturally cleansing itself, so it's best not to
Exactly.
use any kind
So
of.
right.
Yeah.
So I don't recommend using those things.
Okay.
You don't have to wear a panty liner every day unless it's that time of the month or
Exactly.
something. Yes, and you wear your cotton underwears. Of course, there are going to be occasions where you want to wear a little silk one or a
Yeah.
little lace one, but
Because you gotta breathe.
right, for that time.
Yeah.
But for normal circumstances,
Yeah.
you use a cotton
Cotton.
underwear.
Yeah.
If you exercise, you're active, and you sweat a lot, and down there gets a little bit damp, you don't work in AC.
Yeah.
This beautiful AC that's here right now.
Amen.
You make sure sometimes I'll tell
Yeah.
ladies, walk with a change of underwear, so you could put on a fresh one, so
Yeah.
it's not moist down
Exactly.
there, so it leads to more
Yeah.
yeast infections.
Junior,
Great tips.
I recommend that you bring that back.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
So much information.
No, but thank you so much.
Yes.
So,
So much.
But how can the general public get in contact with you?
Good question.
Oh.
Email, Twitter.
Well, yes. Well, right now I'm working out of Anguilla Peace Medical Center. So I'm there and I'm available. I could leave you my email and my telephone number so that if anybody calls in that wants any additional information, and I'll be back, of course.
yeah.
We could have another topic the next time.
Yeah.
So that they'll be able to contact me.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Sister
you so
Martin.
much.
No skin on skin condom. You know what it is. Thank you so much, Don.
Thank you very much for having me, and it was my pleasure to be here today to share with your listeners on SOS Radio 95.9. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
Okay, we're gonna go to the second half of the program, which is just as interesting as I got a kiss here from everybody. Kiss, guys. All the best.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
Mr. Friday, thank you very much for bringing me
pleasure.
down along. Last, thank you.
One of them.
Talk, man.
Mr. Jones.
Oh, you gotta catch a boat. Okay. Nice having you. Hope to have you sometime.
So,
I want to, for those that don't know, I want to introduce Elton Jones. Very few people, if any, would not know Elton Jones. Elton Jones now has a morning program, 98.1. Jones, I'm gonna, one thing I respect of you, I respect that you've gained over the years, is your memory. You got a memory like an elephant.
Oh, thank you.
You got an awesome memory. And you ain't a little boy. You've been here a while now. Jones, I want you to go back and explain to the public how me and you got in government together. Let's start there.
Okay.
Let's start there. You were DP at the time.
I was DP. I was on the board of DP.
What year was that? You come forward.
I started with DP from '83 actively. I started in politics in '79, but I was opposition. And I got an understanding, a liking for Claude Watty. Claude, Dr. Watty now, but he likes you to call him just Claude.
That's
When in speaking to him, you can understand how somebody thinks. Claude was of the opinion that, and I talked about that this week, everybody sees now all the mistakes you have made, but at the time you work with what you had. The idea was that when the brain power come back, and it started with the Marvin Scotts, them were the first people coming back, because before that we had no real intellectuals coming to the country. Then the Joe and the Renes and all those people coming. And the idea that they would take it up
in
and
late
move it on.
60s here now.
Yeah, late 60s, early 70s. So they were wanting what people want to do now, change everything. Everything is wrong because in Holland it's not done like this, New York is not done like that, but you're not applying. You have to take what you learn and apply it to the situation you're in, because you're building a unique society for your people. You cannot tomorrow make St. Martin Paris.
No.
I mean, that's like The Hague.
Right.
That's not the intention.
It's gonna happen.
And that's how the frictions first started with Dr. Watty and his party. Claude was not in the executive, we always stayed in the council, but he put the executive
The others
together.
was general advisor.
Yes, keep looking over it, and if things are not going good, he would basically, advise you and warn you of what he's
take you out.
And if you don't
No,
listen,
if you
then
misbehave.
then there will be action, and there was a few times, some people had to go home early. And then, I thought he has a good idea, because you want to do better for your people, but we don't do better for our people simply complaining, especially if we're sitting in the halls of power, we can do something. We do as if we complaining, so our hands reach up in despair also, that we can't do nothing. That was unacceptable. So I started to support Claude. I wasn't on no list at that time. We drove around, talked to people, and I saw how he did things. In 1993, 93, then they had federal election after the island election.
Correct.
I supported him for the federal election. I think that is the year that we didn't do well. The opposition had the most of the 3 seats. But in 95 we came back, and then of course the bread and butter man came along. So we had a good split of the seats.
That's correct.
And
Well, at that point, Island Council was 9 seats.
9 seats.
When Bread and Butter came along,
The Island Council were 11 seats.
excuse me?
11.
11, right, there were 11 seats, because I ended up in opposition with you, you
Yeah.
joined me in opposition,
Yes.
and we were up against the 9 big guns.
The big boys.
They were the big boys at the time. Let me go back to Claude. Elton, today, we hear a lot of critics. Everybody know it better. We have a lot of Sunday, what do you call it?
Yeah.
Sunday afternoon.
No, Monday quarterbacks, the people who don't bet on Monday after the game. You know exactly what went wrong.
Sorry, I have just one small question there before the one go wrong. But Elton did us say, right, in the streets and the politics, say you're the first ship jumper. Why do they say that? You're the first man that break away.
It's not so, but I was not a ship jumper. I didn't, ship jumping is designated as somebody jump from one party to another. I had a serious problem with what they did after Hurricane Louis. I had a problem what they did with this one also. I find those things are wrong, is the wrong way. If you ask people to give you the confidence, you cannot at the first challenge or emergency you get, run and break a government and do things because other people say so. It shows no leadership capacity. When we got hit with Louis, I was convinced then, as I am after Irma, that we could have handled it ourselves. There was advice from Curacao at the time, McWilliam and the other government in Curacao, that you had to form a national government. You had to do it that way. I said, no. 2 months we're in government, we just got elected. What are we saying to people, that we're incompetent? We can't handle it? No, I don't believe in that. So I said, if they're going to change the government, I stopped Rollocks in Kurdistan and said, listen, I'm going to drop this government today because what they're doing, they get my support. There's no way that's going to happen to me. I thought it was wrong then.
Who was it? Who had the government? DP only or?
DP and
Marlon.
no.
No, Marlon was opposition.
We were government.
Right. We were government,
Yeah.
Marlon was opposition.
Was opposition. So I decided, listen.
No
we're not
national
gonna do
government.
that. No national government. We just 2 months ago, we just got elected, we just formed a government. We have an emergency, we have a crisis. We have to show the people that we have what it takes to bring St. Martin back. We had the same promises of money and what's going to be done. And if it wasn't for insurance, we would still be back where we were in '95. So I didn't believe in the system then. I don't believe in it now. I don't believe that we should have dropped a government this time for some promise of 550 million, which sounded good in the beginning. You didn't know if it was a gift, if it was a loan, you didn't know what it was, you didn't know what conditions were attached to it. Today we find out with the World Bank and all those things that are there. But more so, now in the last report a week ago, Mr. Knops, the State Secretary, says no. We decide what happens because St. Martin don't have the capacity to handle that amount of money, and the Project Bureau can produce the work that the World Bank needs. So all of these things we could have hashed out before, but we didn't want to do it. Our parliament basically ceded their right to be a government by saying, give the Dutch what they want, we don't care, we're going to sign it. That's not leading people, that's crazy. I've read many books on politics and political science. I've never heard this done anywhere in the world where a parliament will just give up and let somebody else do it. Right now, I've said in February that we're electing a government that will take orders from another government. Well, if you look at what's happening now, that's where we are. Knops and Pechtold and all these people call the shots. They say what's happening in St. Martin. And what they have said that I think is very telling.
And they use the screening system effectively.
Effectively. What they have said that I use a few times on the program, they have said, Pechtold have said that, we have confidence in this government, especially, he says, the Prime Minister, because she doesn't put much attention to party politics. She just wants to over. My thing is, I run an election, I put the government together, and you don't care what I have to say? I think we have a problem.
Yes.
We would have a serious problem if I appointed a prime minister or a minister that don't think what I say makes a difference, then he should run his own election, he or she should run there and run the country how they want.
Let me go back with you with Claude. Claude was a very pragmatic person. He believed in small government and big private sector. What is our problem today that you almost can say nothing getting done? Now we have a very dynamic community, St. Martin has made a lot of strides. I've been out of the country and I come here and I see a lot of things happening, but I don't see nothing happening in government. Could you highlight that a little? What is happening there?
Government started off, my friend Junior Lake have a way of saying, anything you start wrong will not end up right. Government started off in 2009, before the 10 thing, to set up just government. So set up parliament, set up the ministers, secure their salary, but they did nothing else down the line. We had on the clock time. If you take what is said, oh, they were stealing or doing that, that may be so, but there was a private sector, there was a middle class, there was a, today you have this, the elitists, so the rich ones,
Very rich.
and there's no middle class.
Okay.
We have people in this country living in total squalor, I mean, abstract poverty. If you drive down to Union Farm, the Dutch Quarter, those areas, there are people without lights, without running water, they can't even afford it. We didn't have those situations, but, and business did better on the clock simply because we avoided red tape. Everybody referred to it as laissez-faire, but the laissez-faire got things done. We were competing with the rest of the world because at the time our people were plowing the seas to find jobs. That is not necessarily new. It's unfortunate that people are talking about leaving now, but that was the idea. So we were getting jobs, we were getting businesses.
That's right.
Because a businessman know when he knock at a government's door, he's gonna get something done. Today, to get an ID card at government, you have to get an appointment for 3 months down the line. A simple registration form takes you 6 weeks. It's something you need right away if you have to do with a bank, anything. We have put so much regulation and red tape in place, we can't move anything.
Yeah.
The bureaucracy is so high, we can't move a rock. And it's all, what we get, a lot of is paper. You know, they could write your advice as a book of advice. But things being done on the
But
ground.
out on the street, out there, get
We have in
done.
December, had a budget amendment of 3 million guilders to help the elderly and the needy amounts with roofs.
In December.
We're in end of July now, and nobody got help. The only people getting help was from that part of this trust fund that was taken out, given to the NGOs. So the White Yellow Cross, the Red Cross, the Samaritan Development Fund.
Right.
They do work there. But government can't take away the 3 million went. But we had an amendment for it, it was public, it was a public meeting, so everybody know there was this amendment. Nothing happens. And why it doesn't happen? We have people lining up at the building and you can't give them answers, and they come and go, and some people abuse of the system because we have no paper trail, we do no formal administration to know who get and who didn't get. So some people get 3 and 4 times, and some people get none.
Well, Mr. Jones,
Yes,
as
sir.
a young Samaritan and listening to what you're saying, in my feelings, I'm seeing what you're saying. So after 10, you would say the government now is in it for the money, since the salaries change and the government fell so many times.
They're in for the salary.
Yes, is it for the money now?
That's a good question.
I honestly believe so. But what I can guarantee you, they're not in it for the people. We have some problems in this country with. I'll give you just an analogy with the beach policies and some. Everybody know what the beach policies are. People live in this country believing that the beaches are public. There's some young people that were operating on Mother Bay, and Mother Bay was harassing the people, knocking down their things, moving their stuff and so. And not one person in government, knowing it was wrong, stood up, and not because they don't know it was wrong, because of the law, but because of the people who contribute to campaigns, the people who are there.
Courage.
That's what
There
they
you
do.
go.
It took the court to grant these St. Martiners their rights, and the court pointed out, nobody owns the beach in St. Martin because of the civil code,
Yeah.
the beaches are public. But everybody knew that already, but not a politician opened them up, and these were local people. Because we have these things, force you to go court, no politician would ever get involved. They are not for the people of St. Martin. And I always talk about the examples of Curacao, because I went there for school there for a while. In Curacao, when something happens, the politicians of Curacao go to see what's happening with their people. They go and pay keen attention and go back to Parliament and hold a meeting, take a decision on that. We don't do that. We let the people, you're on your own in Samantha and something
I
else.
gotta stop you there. 2 things. Presently, I'm working as the advisor to Dr. Moses in Curacao. Hello to the good doctor. And we are seeing similar things happening in Curacao where the government actually doesn't worry about the population. The population in Curacao is suffering. The difference with St. Martin and Curacao is that they promised $500 million guilders almost a year ago. The people were excited. They didn't see no money come. What did St. Martin people do? they did their own thing.
Mhm.
Okay? A lot of us are having rough times still, but we have done our own thing. So that's why we're seeing the progress. One of the things that bothers me, we always hear about the mafia money in Curacao and St. Martin. When you look at the skyline in Lowlands, okay, beautiful skyline. None of it is Dutch money. None of it is Dutch money. There are American investments, there are Canadian investments. It's not Dutch money. The point I want to make, my son and my daughter, Junior Rollocks Jr. and Julastri Rollocks, they were born in St. Rose Hospital, okay, downtown. My son applied for a vending permit. He get a tremendous amount of problems. My son applied for building permit. Oh, he been through hell and back. My son is applying for a piece of property right now, and it's almost impossible.
You said the right thing.
Did I get the right, Junie?
No, what I understand, Mr. Jones, because what he's saying and what he's trying to say, the politicians don't come out. But at a certain point, Mr. Jones, I really feel that here in St. Martin now, I don't know what to say, if it's the politicians or the civil servants. Because at a certain point, you support the government, and if they are not there, you're gonna go through hell. And I start believing in that local thing. Why? Because our local self bring us down.
We're gonna use Billy's favorite
When
phrase.
you're in a management position, I've been in a management position more of my professional career at the airport and then in government. The buck stops at his desk. The civil servants, and your father could tell you, we used to tell him, call them all upstairs, come, let me tell you how it works here. Because they had a thing that if you send them for something, they send you some advice you can't be doing that. No, I answered the
There was a
St.
particular
Martin.
guy by the
Mr.
name
Right.
of Rafe.
Yeah.
Please tell us that story.
We were doing some promotions and we were sending the Rolling Stones and Bobo to New York for the New York Carnival, and it was all arranged. And then I said, we go to look at creative working and Dutch band. You have to look at what money is on the budget.
What money is
I
on
had
the
a
budget?
culture budget, and the money was there. So we said, and the band was ready to go the following day. And this Mr. Rife sent me an advice, and I mean, Commissioner, you can't do that. I said, what he said? So I sent the assistant down and asked him to come upstairs, but I didn't know he could tell me what I can and cannot do. So I called him upstairs and asked him, what's the idea with this letter? Yeah, Commissioner, we can't spend this money now because we expect it. I said, listen, do me a favor, please. Go back downstairs, change the advice. These guys are flying tomorrow and I want to get the money. I had it in 5 minutes. But you have to be a leader.
That is governing.
These people work for you. I have to.
That is
because
governing.
I cleared it in the executive council, and I have to give account to some people. A civil servant, they're there to give you advice. They're not there to tell you what
to do. Exactly.
And you need leadership. People have got to take the responsibility, and that doesn't mean you're going to be right every time. You could be wrong, but you have to take a decision.
Mr. Jones, I would like to say this before we leave. I have a cousin, mention the name, it's not important. He came back to St. Martin, born here, humble family. He came back to St. Martin, I think 99 or so. He applied for a piece of land since 1999, Mr. Jones. Up to today, he can't get a piece of land in St. Martin. But you can see Peter Paul, all the big boys come around, get piece of land, and he comes to Martin, he finished study, he born here, he can't get a piece of
I
land.
could
From
be
St.
one
Martin.
better
Every
than-
time you go inside, and this is the funny thing, forget about me. I'm talking about somebody else now. So the don't think it's only about me. You got ask for piece of land since 1999 up to today, 2018. Nobody not even try, not even call him into the office and say, boy, we're gonna give you a piece of land. Nothing. And you know what the funny part is about this, man? They can always tell you why not.
Well, nobody told me why not. I have a piece of land given to me since '83. Never got it
Fort William.
measured, never got it regulated. And even the time when I was government after that, I was part of a coalition that didn't fix it for me either. It is still so. I still don't own land, and that's about where I was raised. I was born over here. I don't have land there. That's the way
You're
they treat
from the
local
piece
people.
of land of Fort
And
William.
Fort William, yeah.
But is it illegal to give land here? I don't
Of course
understand.
it's
It
not.
looks like it's illegal.
I tell you
now.
something about land. I have a lot of problem with the present government, and I keep telling them this. Look, they locked up the Boncampo family, and I believe people, if they break the law and so they have to deal in court. They said it was speculating with government land. And I use this, and I'm one of the people that I will call the names, because if what I say isn't true, then they could take me to court for libel or slander or whatever. The piece of land outside the Great Bay Beach Hotel is government long lease land. It was never given to the hotel or to
That's
the
correct.
company, but they sold it to Sunwing. When they sold the hotel, they sold the land, which is also speculative, but the prosecutor didn't get into that. They're not going after the Sparrow group of company and them. But local people were quick to them. They talk about class justice. The class justice is us that working on. Because if something is wrong when I do it, okay, I'll accept, but it should be wrong when other people do it also. I find that's terrible, and the government, this government, finds a way to get the civil servants to make an ordinance after the fact to legalize an illegal transaction is bloody wrong. That's factual.
I want to make my last comment before we close. I want to welcome our friend Corrado, Francesco Corrado, back to the island. We understand that he's back here. It is easy, Elton, to look at the wrong. How did it say it in the Bible? You would know it better than me. I could look at a little splint in your eye,
I don't see the big
but don't see the bark in mine.
news here.
These people have their wrongs, like myself, but thanks to these investors, St. Martin is where it is today. Thanks to people like Spadaro, thanks to Corallo, thanks to Sudi, thanks to, and I could continue. They have their wrongs, like myself, and like you, but they contribute to the standard of living. We live on a little stupid island, and when you compare St. Martin with all the other islands, go right down to Trinidad, and you could go over to Puerto Rico now. We are living a very high standard of living. My dear St. Martins, my last words are, take it easy, keep working, and stay focused. Whatever you're doing, stay focused. Find something to do. Sell lemonade, sell chiclets, do something on the road. Do something. Don't wait for government. Don't wait for the Dutch government. Don't wait for the French government. You do your thing, and you will be fine. And don't tell me I'm going to leave the island. Because if you got somewhere better, please tell me I'm going to go. Okay? And I've traveled the world. God gave me that privilege to travel the world. There is nowhere better than St. Martin. God bless you.
Again, and to all the Samaritan people, to all the young ones also, don't break no rules, but stand up and fight back. Because in Samaritan, you have to fight back. If you don't fight back, you're going to sit down. You're going to sit down, and any minister, any parliamentarian come to you, tell you can't do them, ask them why.
There's a court system.
Yes.
And
Beauty of democracy.
yes,
Exactly. We
live
live in a
a country of
democracy.
democracy, and stand up for your rights. Samaritan,
Mr.
thank you,
Jones,
Brian.
quickly, your last words.
Yeah, I would like to also welcome my friend Corrado back. I think he was playing a bad one. All the people who did as if they didn't know him will begin knowing him again, because there will be more campaigns and more things. My friend is my friend in his good time and his bad time, and not only when he can afford to give me. I would like to close on that.
Thank you so much. St. Martin, that's our time for today. Thank you to all our guests for being here. Julastri, thank you for being here. Senior, thank you.
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Jones, thank you. The doctor, thank you. St. Martin, Strictly Business is here for you every Sunday, bring you positive vibes, positive information. Do your part especially in St. Martin, to keep St. Martin clean. Very, very important. Please, please do that. Let's all do that as much as we can. And remember, life is all about choices. So be careful what you choose and who you choose, because time waits on no one. Till next time, strictly business.